Part 4. Now this is where we start to harvest the crop that we've been growing in the greenhouse. This is where we start to make some money after all the weeks, the months of investment and hard work. And this is where you might see a smile, just a little bit. You know, I've been thinking about how to structure this final video in our series. So it's all about harvesting. So what we could do was just have a lot of repeated shots of our team coming into this greenhouse here and then plucking the fruits off the vines and then taking them over that side. But that would get quite boring and tedious quite quickly, wouldn't it? And some of you would actually click off and never come back to the Mondo Farms channel ever again. So what we're going to do is what we normally do. We take the long view, the considered view, and get a little bit cerebral. We look at the why Mondo Farms grows fruiting vegetables in the first place. And when we do grow those fruiting vegetables, how and what are the things that we do to keep them fruiting for as long as possible to give us yields for weeks and weeks and months. We'll also show you that with a high-value vegetable like long cucumber, you've got to do some basic cleaning and packaging before it goes off to market. Now, I think that would be a lot more interesting for this final video in our greenhouse farming series, wouldn't it? Stay with us. Greetings from the farm. I hope you're well. It's so good to have you back with us again here on the Mondo Farms channel. My name is Chisha Folatia, and I'm a Zambian business gentleman who started a farming journey about 4 years ago on the outskirts of Chongwe. This is one of 2 farms that we've been operating since then, and this one is called Kimberley, and it is round about the Kanakantapa area. 2024 has been a challenging year for us here in Zambia and our neighboring countries. For us in the urban centers, let's just say we've eaten a lot more takeaway than we ever had before. We've had many dinners by candlelight, which were not always planned or the least bit romantic. And things have reached a stage where families are no longer asking for cows when negotiating lobola for their daughters. They're asking for payment in the form of solar panels, inverters, and batteries. Lithium batteries preferably, of course. For my business, Mondo Farms, it has been the year that we started greenhouse farming, and we've been sharing videos about it for the second half of the year here on our YouTube channel. We started off with a detailed look at greenhouse farming and walked and talked you through this amazing structure, the Africa 504 greenhouse. We hosted a special field day in October where some farmers came to have a closer look at it and learn more about greenhouse farming in general and more about the cucumber varieties from Rijk Zwaan. And then we started sharing this series of videos about greenhouse farming that we're producing in collaboration with Holland Greentech. We've taken you from the planning of the crop to the planting of the seed. And in our last video, we looked at how we work to establish and then trellis the crop. We reached the stage where it was time to start harvesting from the crop. And that is what this video is all about. You're going to hear the word yield quite a lot. When I started farming vegetables at our first farm, Winterthorn, back in the winter of 2020, we grew a crop of cabbage and some cauliflower. Like most beginner farmers, we were very excited as the little seedlings grow and the heads formed and then they firmed.
Very fast. Maybe that's
But like most beginner farmers, we cried tears of sadness when we took our harvest to the market and got terrible prices because it was flooded with lots and lots of cabbage at the time. We wailed and gnashed our teeth when our cauliflower heads wilted because we hadn't packed and transported them properly. They couldn't be sold. To put it simply, we lost all our money on that very first crop. And that is when I first started using the term farming journey. I realized that while growing some crops is relatively easy, building a successful farming business is something else altogether. I realized that I had a lot to learn. Diversification can be one of the keys to business success, so I started trying to grow other crops. It also helped us to learn more about vegetable farming in general. Yes, we continued with the cabbage and the cauliflower and even some broccoli, but the problem with them was that once they were harvested, that was it. Whatever price you got for them at the time of selling was it, kwasila. One day, I visited the farm run by some close friends in Chisamba, and as we were walking and talking through their tomato fields, I learned that fruiting vegetables give you many chances to get a return. You could harvest this week and get a price at the market that was not great, but you would still be back the following week for a different price, and the following week after that, and the week after that, and the week after that. Even if prices changed over the months, making the same initial investment, but then being able to sell your produce over and over again for weeks and months at a time was going to be much better than the one-time risks that we were taking with the one-harvest crops that we had been growing. So we shifted a lot of our focus into fruiting vegetables. Let's define fruiting vegetables in the context of Mondo Farms. These are things that may be biologically fruits, but are mostly eaten as vegetables. Let's talk about things like eggplants, impoas, that family. Things like cucumbers, things like peppers or capsicums, as they're usually called in East Africa. Things like squashes, your butternut and your zucchini, and of course, to a certain extent, melons. By the way, from the very beginning, I have chosen to avoid trying to grow the most important, economically significant fruiting vegetable of all. That is tomato. Here at Mondo Farms, we don't grow tomato. Nichani! Hey, tomatoes, as far as I'm concerned, are just too political, too difficult to grow with things like tuta absoluta, and there's too much competition. Competition from big, advanced, serious tomato farmers like the ones you see on some social media channels. And there are also too much competition from every Jim and Jack beginner farmer. Don't people almost always start their farms with tomato? Yes, we grew a lot of onion back in 2022, but in the end, after making a huge investment, we ended up making quite a serious loss when we found some very poor prices when we finally got the products to market for that once-off crop. We haven't grown onions since then, but we still want to, and we will do one day in the future. Before that, we will have to get some tractors, some more machinery, and we will also have to invest in some proper storage, things like a cold room. And yes, we still grow carrot, which is a root vegetable crop and comes with the same one-time harvest risk that I've been talking about. But look, it works for us as a rotational crop against the solanaceous and the cucurbits that we've been growing. And if you get your quality, quantity, and your timing right, it can live up to its nickname of orange gold. Besides, I really like growing carrots. Yes, farming is a business, but it must still give us a little bit of pleasure. As I said, Mondo Farms has fruiting vegetables at the core of our business strategy. Recently, we've doubled down on this strategy by investing in protected environments like shade houses and this greenhouse in order to produce high-value vegetables like colored peppers and long cucumbers with more quantity, quality, and consistency. Farming of high-value vegetables as a business requires a long-game mindset. Now, this is something that is not 1, 2, 3 and you're done. That works maybe for other different types of crops, for other different types of farming. But when you are doing what we do, we've realized that you have to keep investing. You have to invest in time, money, passion, training of your team, all of those things that you require to be doing, and that we have to do all of those things repeatedly. We will grow the same crop 1, 2, 3, sometimes 4, 5 times a year in order to keep the business cash flows moving. And some of the things that we need to do over and over again are the things that we were doing in the first video of this series. Things like the planning, the spacing of the beds before planting or transplanting, building our beds over fertility trenches, which are full of that beautiful, rich compost material, using only high-quality drip irrigation products from companies like Rivulis, which is supplied by Holland Greentech, and carrying out all of the soil treatment that we do before we start planting. And what we saw in the second video, which was all about how important it is to choose the right type of seeds and why we choose to go for high-quality hybrid seeds, just like the ones from Rijk Zwaan that Holland Greentech supplies us, and then planting them in a very specific way. And then the work you saw us doing in the third video as our crops were being established and then starting to grow. We put in quite a lot of effort to water them properly, to protect them from pests and disease, to feed them with the right nutrients at the right time, and of course, to weed them. The long game mindset continues even when the crop reaches its reproductive stage and it starts producing fruits. We continue with all the crop husbandry practices and continue following the good agronomic principles in order to keep the yields going and going. I'm very proud that here at Mondo Farms, the period of time that we've been able to keep a crop in reproductive stage and giving its yields has been getting longer and longer. Our average is about 6 months for most crops, but we have had some great, fantastic hybrid seeds, hybrid crops, should I say, that have managed to stay in the ground and producing for up to 9 months. Our target is 12 months, and we're hoping to achieve that as quickly and as soon as possible. Mind you, as we always say, this is farming in the real world. So once in a while, we will get attacked and lose a crop to something like a devastating nematode attack. I don't want to ever hear the word nematode ever again. No, I'm not talking about nematodes. No. I don't want to ever see nematodes ever again. Wait. Harvesting usually starts with what we call the first cut harvest. Now, this is usually a small quantities of the fruits that have grown first, and we like to take these off of our plants so that they can then start focusing on growing and producing the rest of the first flush harvest.
Better idea for start harvest. Ono tipangara different version yako naika. Ioneka ingono ini ikulu. So tindikazita harvest size ya mene yae. Pa wezi one pene tishta harvest ma cucumber. So as usual when tachaira beduli onse kufaka po crate au titikazipenda kuti iraini yachosa angati ma cucumber. So tizapitama kupenda before tikasirizo harvest. This is rainy mozi chosa ma cucumber angati. So line ya west side ya nachosa hii, then ya number 2 ndiyo iri so any line.
The harvest that we get from our long cucumber crops continued for weeks and weeks. There comes a time with each crop where it peaks, and at that point we were even harvesting twice a week, on Mondays as well as on Thursdays.
Where's the one? Penalty harvest ya cucumber.
With high-value vegetable crops like long cucumbers, you can't just take them to market. You've got to do something to them and present them to the off-takers in a way that they shall be pleased with and the customers will be able to buy. So as we prepare them here on the farm, we don't have a full-time wash house. That will be coming very soon for us here at Mondo Farms. But we've been able to set up an elementary system where we give them a very quick wash, and then we do some shrink wrapping before placing them in the crates.
So here at Tapiwa, we're having our midweek harvest of the English cucumbers. So right now we are cleaning, sorting, grading our English cucumbers and then wrapping them. So we have ladies washing here, washing off the mud and grading. So this is the mud touching the ground. And after that, after washing, she's putting them here, and we have one wrapper. Then the wrapper is putting them into this crate, and we have another one here doing the same thing. So it's important that we clean them because this is mud and we don't want mud. So we'll clean them off, then wrap them. So you be damaged, which was set up on. And my flowers, my end, which was our crop.
Where's the one? Penalty harvest ama cucumber.
So even with the crop in high production, our work doesn't stop. Our team is still keep going on back in there to do the weeding. We're still feeding it with high potassium fertilizers. And we're still doing things like the pruning of the suckers and removing of side shoots.
So Joyce, nkasirizo chosa ma side shoot. So mzapita mafutu kuchosa ma drips ya mnyansi. Hai. Ayene one akwa kudala yonse me achose yali mnyansi.
And of course, the training and the supervisory work from Tyson and Joseph continues.
Amalita. Waziona mbe mwezi zatali mpira sinifuna zikaziyangana pansi kuti zikazibwerera futi zikazishita so funa zikazienda kumwamba umene ziyazikonka barbed wire ene iliko iyi so tindi chite mushe tracing tikasiza tracing chite fruit balancing na kuchosa ma sides masakazi pita mukuchosa mushe so nikabwera munofuna nipeze muli clean chabi mushe mwachita tracing che mushe auti mbewu ili yonse ikonka barbed wire itali mbewu inefika barbed wire ikonka barbed wire make sure kuyanga na plant ili yonse mwachita tracing. So kalo ichisaka mwene chalemena so chabendo tengeni angosaka kuzuka mbovinya mula maningi viza kweseka.
We've reached the end of our greenhouse farming series here on the Mondo Farms channel for 2024. It's been quite a mission and one that I have enjoyed tremendously. I remember back in the day earlier this year when we started doing the first pitch to Holland Greentech, having to talk to them about what our plan was and what could be achieved. And I must say I am ever so grateful to Patricia here in Zambia and to Jacques and the team in Rwanda for having Holland Greentech trust us to become our first ever partner for a collab series on the Mondo Farms channel. We really look forward to working with you more and more in the future. I'm actually looking forward to my trip to Rwanda, Kigali, and seeing some more high-tech farming courtesy of Holland Greentech in February of next year. The farming journey that I started back in 2020 has been one that has been absolutely amazing, and it continues to be so. The latest chapter for us has been the acquisition of this greenhouse here during 2024. For that, I must give a very big thank you to my beloved wife who provided us, Mondo Farms, our company, with the initial seed funding and for her belief in me and in this vision that we have here of building a farming enterprise that can grow into being one of Zambia's largest and most significant vegetable producers. This greenhouse will allow us to produce high-quality vegetables throughout the whole year, and it will really up our game in terms of returns and in terms of our capacity. I'd like to thank the teams that worked with me on producing this greenhouse farming video series. We've had various people behind the cameras, one of which was a young man called Christian from Islington. We had a gentleman called Percy, and for the latter half of it, we've had a young man, a computer studies student at Unilas called Tokozile. Thanks, guys. When I look at the statistics, YouTube gives us a lot of what they call the analytics. And I'm able to see that this greenhouse farming video series has brought a lot of new subscribers onto the Mondo Farms channel. Whoa, our subscriber base continues to grow ever and ever. If you're one of those people who came to Mondo Farms because you had looked up on YouTube or on Google greenhouse farming in Africa, then welcome aboard. It is our pleasure to have you with us. This channel is all about how we farm vegetables and some other crops here on the outskirts of Chongwe. We normally feature the crops that we grow and show you some of the processes and the procedures that we have found that we're able to go through. We produce videos here on the Mondo Farms channel regularly throughout the year during the different seasons about the different things, of course, that we are doing. And if this is the kind of video that you know other people would like to see, then please press the share button and you'll be able to save it to them, send it to them on your socials via WhatsApp or some other method. And if you do like this video and it thinks it is worthy of what we describe as your stamp of approval, then please press the thumbs up button that you see down there below. And if you've got some questions or comments, then please put them in the comments below. You want to watch more of these videos and you haven't subscribed yet, then the easiest simple thing you can do is to press the subscribe button. And if you press the bell icon, then YouTube will let you know when another video comes along. Wishing everybody a very happy, as we say, festival period here in Zambia, and may 2025 bring you all of the best in life. May it please bring us some electricity here in Zambia. Shale nipo. Bye-bye.